Hello, everybody. Today on the podcast, I'm joined by Jake, a former athlete who is all about the grind behind the glory. He's been through the journey of finding identity after sports, learning to lean on skills, not just titles. I'm excited to have you on the show, Jake.
Matt, appreciate it, man. Fired up to be here. It's a beautiful day. I'm in Michigan, so we're like good weather, 70. So I'm feeling good. Happy to be here.
Yeah, Jake, for the listeners who may not be familiar with your line of work yet, can you give us a quick rundown of who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so my name is Jake Daugherty. I work as the manager of collegiate partnerships at Open Doors. And so Open Doors is the technology leader for name, image, likeness, which is NIL, working in college athletics. So helping athletes monetize their name, image, likeness, working with brands, working with institutions, making sense of this stuff, and just trying to help good people win along the way.
I love your LinkedIn post. Your profile, your bio says your mission you have to have you want to have a lasting impact on society through hard work, positivity, and like teamwork. And I think teamwork is so powerful, and just I think teamwork can move mountains. And I love that bio you have.
Yeah, man. It's I mean, we'll get into it, but the power of positivity has changed my life. I've been on teams since I was a kid. I'm the youngest of four too. So a team as you think about like a family as well. And then just hard work, no substitute for it. Can't cheat the grind. So
now, Jake, I really want to ask you, how did your life change after sports?
Yeah, so it's been a journey. So as I look back, being a former college athlete, our constant in our life is sport. Think about you start playing sports when you're 10 years old, 8 years old. And then you play till you're 20, 22, 23. And then if you're fortunate to play professionally, you go on and play till 30, or if you're Tom Brady or LeBron, you're playing at 40. But for me, it was such an impact on my life. And I didn't realize it till now. But while you're playing sports, you learn about maybe something doesn't go your way, or you're going against a better team, or you're going against somebody who's bigger, faster, stronger than you. And how do I still achieve my goal of winning the game or performing at a high level? And success might look differently, right? So you learn these kind of nuggets about life through sport. And then the cool part about it too is you learn at an early age, it's very black and white. You either win or you lose. And so now as I take that into the professional world, no one's coming to save you. I was an offensive lineman. So blitzing linebacker coming at me, I got to pick this guy up or else the quarterback's getting sacked. Now in my professional career, hey, if you don't hit your sales quota, or hey, if you're not performing at a high level, no one's coming to save you. So you really learn early on about picking yourself up, self-accountability, playing on a team and being a good teammate. And then through that experience has been super impactful, whether it's professional, personal. Every piece of my life has been centered around sports, which is ironic because my second grade teacher will tell you I hated sports growing up. And it's kind of the funny part of how life works now. Sports is what my career is, what I'm into. And just being a former athlete too. So it's been fun.
No, I love that. And you just keep on stacking those things on top of each other. What's been the hardest part about being a former athlete, not being an athlete no more?
Yeah, it's one thing I would say is I think identity shift is so hard. Imagine, Matt, you do something for a decade plus of your life and then it abruptly stops, right? That is a very hard thing to deal with as a young person. And so when I got done playing, I had a very I've always been an optimist. So I was like, hey, I'm going to get a degree and I'm going to go play professional football. That's my dream. I want to go play for the Detroit Lions, right? And you learn quick about how hard it is to make it professionally. You're talking about whatever they say, less than 1% or 3% of athletes make it professionally. And so to get to that level is so tough. And so I realize now as I look back, it's all I knew was sports. So I thought, okay, that's the next progression for me. In college, when you're going to school, you're a freshman, you take prerequisite courses to then you're a sophomore, you take these courses and it's kind of laid out for you. And then you graduate and it's kind of hey, you can do whatever you want, So I really struggled with my identity of who is Jake Daugherty outside of football, right? I'm not just a football player. And I know that now, but when I graduated, I really struggled with, okay, if I'm going to go be successful in a career, what is my football that's not football? What can I apply my energy, my passion, my focus, my desire to win, competitiveness? And I had to really do some soul searching for about a year, 2 years. And then now have found my love for what I do, working in business and sales, and as well as just working on teams and in companies. So yeah, that identity shift's so tough. You go from playing in front of 20,000 people on ESPN to go win a national title to now you're playing, now you're applying to jobs in your parents' basement, hoping you get a response. That's a tough, dynamic. And so, yeah, I'm grateful to have good people along the way that have helped. But I would say that was my biggest struggle, was figuring out who is Jake Daugherty outside of wearing pads and a helmet.
Jake, that makes sense. Leaving behind something you love isn't easy.
100%, man. It's it's all you're almost programmed of like, season ends, you're going in the off season, training, classes, getting ready for the next year. And so when the next year doesn't exist, and now it's like, okay, I have my degree, kind of that chapter of your life is closed. Like, yeah, I mean, in a sense, you almost have to like grieve like that little bit of what your life was, and then the next chapter is your next phase, and you're growing into who you want to become, and what you want to do professionally.
Yeah, Jake, I can just speculate on this, but I can feel most athletes are lost after their seasons are over. I mean, did you feel lost at first, or were you ready for the next thing?
Lost, man, for sure lost. Like, the word that comes to mind for me was rudderless, right? So you just don't know what your hobbies are. And then I realize now I kind of gamified it for myself, where I was like, okay, so I just spent 10 plus years of my life watching film on teams, dissecting defenses, learning playbooks, understanding high pressure situations. So as you equate that to like the professional world, like prospecting or big sales meetings or big partnerships meetings, working on a team, or, getting reports done by the end of the week, like, it's very similar. And for me, I just needed to take that same skill set and just take football out of it and then apply it to that. So yeah, I was lost for quite some time, until I really just like had that honest conversation with myself of like, what do you want to be? What's like no one's coming to save you here. So what are you going to do about it to help put yourself in a position to be successful in the future?
Yeah, Jake, can you unpack that for us? I mean, a lot of athletes feel stuck, but what you just said about using their skill set to move on to the next thing.
Yeah. So, I was just talking to a class this morning about this. So I think people get super hyper fixated on like industries. So like, obviously I work in sports and tech, and people will say, hey, I want to go, like today, someone's like, yep, I want to go work in HR or insurance. And I think that's great if you have like a passion of like, okay, I'd like to work in this field, this industry. But I don't think enough people talk about like harnessing and like honing in on and harnessing your skill set. So what I mean by that is like the guy who I was talking with, his class, he's an engineer, but he's good at problem solving. He's good at analytical like thinking. He's good at numbers. Like, he doesn't say, oh, I'm an engineer. He says, I'm good at problem solving. I'm a critical thinker. And so for me, I just thought, okay, I played football. That's cool. I got a degree, that's cool. But like, what I didn't realize is like, in that you learn time management, how to like make quick decisions in high pressure situations, how to achieve a goal, right? Like win at a high level. And then working with people from all walks of life and communicating. And so I forever I was like, oh, I want to go do this. I want to go do this. I want to go do this. And so I would always like try different things. But then it wasn't until later in my 20s where I realized like, okay, I need to just hone in on my skills, and the skills are what I need to listen to. So now being in sales and managing and leadership and some of those things, like that's been really impactful for me, because like it took me to try to figure out what that skill set was.
A lot of athletes feel stuck. It's powerful that you can like talk about it in different ways like that. What's the next chapter for athletes?
A lot of self-reflection, to be honest with you. So I'll never forget it. It was like 2019. I was in the thumb of Michigan. I was on a beach, and I really kind of had that honest conversation with myself about like where I wanted to take my career and just kind of like my skill set. And so I literally took paper out, start writing like pros and cons, likes, dislikes, wants and needs. And so putting that on paper, and the impact of like now circling things and be like, okay, I like this, I don't like this, and not using the word football or sport, right? Like really diving deep into like some personal reflection. And still to this day, I do a lot of journaling and stuff like that. But that's what really helped me. And like my advice to athletes or people who listen of like where to start is just to like figure out, ask yourself, if you weren't playing your sport, how would you describe yourself to other people? And that's a good starting point to then have that deep dive into what do you like doing? What does a career outside of sports look like, and all of those things.
Yeah, I feel like most people don't even take time to reflect like that.
Yeah, it's for me, like I feel like it's been an impactful piece of my life. Like I still take self-reflection. I was talking to a class today, and a kid asked me how I deal with like, lumps, and like how do you deal with funks, like when you're in a funk, right? And just my response back was about gratitude and being grateful and just like understanding your place. Like walking's a privilege, waking up today is a privilege. So like understanding the opportunity you have every single day just by simply waking up and doing whatever you're doing, going to college, working, providing for your family, like taking a step back and just understanding that gives you perspective because that's not the same way for everybody.
Yeah, knowing your place on a team and in real life. I mean, that's very strong and a great takeaway. What do you think most people get wrong about picking their career path after their sports?
I think my take on it is I think people get and I was saying this a little bit earlier, but like people get really fixated on like industry versus like skills. I think people say, "Oh, I want to go do this," but their skill set might not match that. Like, hey, I want to go, do real estate, but I just want to do that because I can make a bunch of money doing it, and I don't really care about selling or like I don't like talking to people or I don't really care about reading about the market. And so that's what I would say is like don't get fixated on an industry, but like look at your skills. What are you good at doing? And you get paid for your skills, not how much you like an industry. Like it's a byproduct of being good at what you do and applying yourself in whatever you're doing in your career.
Now, Jake, how did you discover what skills or works best for you in your career?
So for me, it was I learned at an early age, like I have the ability to like communicate and like meet people where they're at. So just like the empathy fact of like, and it comes from playing football, right? You're playing football with people who come from a private Catholic school in, a wealthy part of the world to inner city Florida where it's like we don't know where our next meal's coming. And so you learn through football, it's the great equalizer of like, for me at least for football, my sport, like how to communicate and work together as a collective group to then achieve that goal. And so I learned at an early age, like, okay, I'm a good communicator. People feel comfortable talking to me, like consolidating in me and like problem solving and getting to a better place. Naturally an optimistic person and competitive person too. Like youngest in my family, always been a high competitor, wanting to achieve. And so that's where I really learned like leaned into like sales for me, and why I enjoy selling and sales is because working with people, relationships, solving problems, and not being afraid to fail, like always failing forward in what you do.
It seems like a lot of athletes follow the industries. They go down that path. I don't know if I don't want to call it the easy path, but it's a pathway that someone can take that's, it's there if you want to take it. Now, why do you believe people should follow their skill sets instead of the industries?
I think because you can always be better at your craft, right? Like, so if you're a painter or if you're a musician, you're constantly doing reps. Or if you're an electrician or a plumber, like you have a skill set, right? And people are paying you for that. And you can get better and better about that and grow that knowledge. But I think for me, I believe, especially athletes, like you have a skill set and you can learn about your skill set, like keep honing in on that. And that can take you into whatever industry. So like, don't pigeonhole you. Like for me, I'm a sports guy, but I'm not necessarily like, I'm just a sports guy, right? Like I could go do other things. And that's because I built a brand and I built my skill set to go do those things. So that's why I say like don't get fixated on, oh, I want to go work in this industry. I want to go do this. Like get hyper focused on what am I good at doing and what can I be well compensated and grow in my career. Those are like your skills are what companies are gonna want to pay you for and what they're gonna recruit you for. And so they're not gonna recruit you because you love an industry. That's a bonus, but they're gonna recruit you because hey, that person's a world-class marketer, or that's the best HR leader I've ever seen, or that's the best salesperson I've ever seen. Like those skill sets are what those companies and industries try to find, and whether it's at higher ed, public, private, wherever. That's why I say that.
Now, Jake, do you think athletes have skills they don't even realize they have?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, think about and I have no idea. Where'd you go to college at?
I went to a community college, OCC.
Okay, so OCC. So
Go
think
Raiders.
about go Raiders, baby. Think about like when you were going to school. Did you play sport?
I did not in college. I played it all in high school, though.
Okay, so think about when you're in college and you're playing a sport, or you're just going to school, you're going to class. Okay, like the demand of deadlines, papers, getting all that done, getting your associate's degree, like that same pressure of like completing that. Now add on waking up at 6 a.m., going to the gym, like prospecting, watching film on a team, practicing, playing in a game, getting home late. Like the pressure there that those athletes and the skills they learn time management. They learn about workload. They learn about hitting deadlines, performing. Like athletes are very set up in that way. And if you're going to school and let's say you're not an athlete, you have the benefit of like really like learning about internships or going and working in a profession. And sometimes athletes don't have that same benefit of working in internship because they have to be at school working out for the summer. So they have all the skills. The issue is they just don't realize how to unlock them until later, and they go through this process. The same one I went through later in life. It's cool to talk about like, yeah, I played football, but you don't learn how to utilize those skills into a professional setting until you get past that first little bit when you're done playing.
Yeah, it seems like discipline is the foundation for that for a lot of athletes out there.
100%. Yeah, you have to be. It's a sink or swim type of opportunity. Yeah.
Now, where does teamwork go into all of this?
So I mean, that's teamwork makes the dream work, baby. Like that's how it works. Like to me, it's nothing done that's at an incredible feat or nothing huge accomplishment. None of that happens without a group of people collectively working together. Like period. In any industry, like if there's an entrepreneur that sold their company for millions, there's a group of people behind that entrepreneur that help build those things and help do those things. If all the successful companies, universities, teams, I mean, you name it, like there's a group of people working all collectively to have the same mission to achieve that. So like teamwork, and then in your personal life, whether it's relationships or friendships, if you're a part of a family, like I mean, you name it, every part of your life, teamwork will play a piece in that. 100%.
Yeah, like I was saying in the beginning of the podcast, I feel like teamwork can move mountains. It's very powerful. And I just want to know, you always got to be working on yourself. What's one of the skills that from your sports career that still helps you today?
We watched a lot of film. The thing about film that I always like I hated when I played, but now I look back on it and enjoyed was the accountability piece. Like you could say, "Hey, coach, like, they were doing this," or so and so didn't block their guy, which then caused me to miss a block. And you go back and watch the film, and it's plain as day. It's right there. The eye in the sky never lies. So now, as I look back on that, like I take that into my personal life and my professional life, and just that self reflection that we were talking about, really self reflecting on, am I making the right choices? Am I doing the right things? Am I putting myself in a position to be healthy, successful? Like those types of like that self grading and that self assessment comes from my time playing sports throughout my whole life.
Now, throughout sports, did you have one time you almost gave up and quit?
Yeah. So my I don't know if I told this story before, but my first year, so I played football at Fair State University. My first year, I come out of high school, and probably my second week, I wanted to quit. You learn quick, college sports isn't for everybody. It's a very much a grind, and so for me, I wanted to quit, and it was just I wasn't having fun. And I remember calling my mom and being like, "Hey, like both my parents, and just like this isn't it. Like this isn't what I signed up for. Like all of that." And then fortunately, I have a good foundation of people that have been with me my whole life and my family and friends. And so my mom actually was the one who was like, man, just go out there and have fun. You're a redshirt freshman. You're not going to play. So don't put pressure on yourself. Just have fun, learn, and enjoy your time. And then the rest is history. Go on to win a bunch of championships, play with some great teams, and then have friends for the rest of my life. So yeah, I wanted to quit very early on in my career in college, and then luckily stuck it out, and that's due to the people around me pushing me.
That's a powerful story, Jake. I mean, having people in your corner when you didn't even believe in yourself is powerful.
Absolutely, man. Self-belief, like self-belief's undefeated. You like if you can believe in yourself in those tough times, like you can achieve whatever you want to in this world.
Now, you've won multiple championships. What does self-belief feel like when you're really strong?
It feels like it's like you have this blind faith throughout summer workouts, winter workouts, two-a-days, and then you get to the end of the season and you win a conference title and you're making a playoff run, or like, these guys have won 3 of the last 4 national championships here at Fair State. Like you go and do that, it's like everything that you've sacrificed up to that point was worth it. And winning does that. It's like that quick fix of like, okay, I've achieved, like I've arrived, right? And it's a double-edged sword because on the flip side, after that day ends, you're going to be chasing that same feeling over and over and over and over again, right? And competing at the high level. But in those moments, everything leading up to that point was worth it. So just blind faith in the process and just trusting it.
Now, on the topic of after sports, after you do all the accomplishments, you win the championships, what would you say to someone feeling stuck in like a negative headspace and not knowing what they're doing after sports.
Yeah, I think the one advice I'd give is like you're not the exception. Everybody don't feel isolated or alone. Because I think I felt like that of like, man, I'm not living up to what I wanted to do, or all my friends or people are like moving on with their lives and careers, and I'm kind of stuck. But like, I think the one thing that I would give advice to is like everyone goes through that. It's a normal feeling, and just normalize that, because the more you feel isolated, the more you feel on that island. And so if you can just normalize it and know like, okay, this is just part of it, right? Like this is done for me now. I have to realize that I got to figure out what's going to come next. And so that's the advice I would give to people is, even though sports is over, sports isn't who you are. Even if you go play professionally and you're a Hall of Fame football player, like there's more to life. You're only going to play, you're not going to play football for the rest of your life. So let's say you only play till you're 40, you're still going to have, if the average person lives to 75, 80, you're still going to have 40, 35 years of life. So that would be my advice, is just don't feel like you're stuck. Like don't feel like you're on an island, and like continue every day, like win every moment, win every day, and one day at a time.
That's such a good point, Jake. What is something small you do daily that makes a big difference, if you don't mind sharing?
I'm a big workout person, so I feel like if you work out, run, walk, stretch, play pickleball is my new thing. Anything to like get your body moving, like it'll help in every sense of the world. So like if you're stressed about something, go for a walk, or if you want to start your day with a workout, end your day with a workout. But that's the one thing, like that's kind of my sacred time, safe space, if you will. Don't do any talking, put my headphones in and just kind of like zen out, and just for the next hour and a half, hour, 2 hours, whatever, just get it done.
No, it's a great takeaway. What advice would you give to someone who wants to work on themselves but doesn't know how to start yet?
Don't overanalyze it. Like just start. Like most people feel stuck because they just never start, right? So like if you can take one step forward, if it's like I'm gonna go for a walk today, or hey, like I'm gonna start a diet, I'm gonna take this one food out and replace it with this. You don't have to make monumental changes. The small changes over time will compound. And so my advice is don't get stuck in your head about where to start, but just like do it. Just get out there, like make mistakes, and you'll learn through experience rather than trying to sit there and figure out how to start.
Now, Jake, do you have any examples for me to understand where someone was lost at one point and they figured out a way to start?
Yeah. So like what comes to mind for me is, I related back to my journey a little bit of like I just, to your point, like I didn't even know where to start. Like I didn't know who to reach out to. It was like, who can help me? Like all that stuff. And then it was like, okay, like I was so in my head about what do I want to do when I grow up? What's my end goal? Because people would always be like, oh, well, what are you going to do with your degree? What are you going to do? And I got so fixated on like, I don't even know, like where to begin, And so what I realized is like, and it's the part where people kind of skip it when they talk about their career history, is like, well, I did this and ended up there, and then now I'm the CEO of this company, or I'm the president of this. But what they fail to tell you is like, oh, after college, I worked on a farm, like collecting rocks for 10 cents an hour, or like whatever, right? And they forget to they almost like suppress the bad memories. And so for me, like, I think you have, like, what I learned early on is like, you just got to go try things, like fail by experience, So that's kind of the example that comes to my head, is just like being over analyzing of what I wanted to do instead of just like going and doing it. Just literally like, I'm going to fail forward. That's what I kept telling myself. Like, get experiences. You learn more of what you want to do out of what you don't like doing.
No, that's powerful. I mean, how do you want people to feel after hearing your story?
I don't, so my thing is like, if you could take one thing away, like just take a piece, right? Like I like, you listen to podcasts or read books, and you're not going to read a 500-page book and be like, hey, I learned 500 things out of this thing, right? But like, if you could take one thing away, the one thing I hope people, when I go to talk, and like my message to people is always just like, be a good person. And if you treat people the right way and you work hard, good things are going to happen to you. Like my three keys is like, show up early, have a good attitude, work hard, right? So like if you can do those things and give back all in that process, you can achieve whatever you want to in your life.
Now, Jake, what does success mean to you today? Not when you're back playing sports, but today.
I'd say for me, forever I thought it was like a fancy job or title or a bunch of money and all that stuff. But to me, it's like, if success is like I'm doing the right things, with people that are closest to me, friends, family, my significant other, um, my coworkers, my company. Like if people are like, man, Jake Doherty's a good dude, and like he's known for getting things done, and like he's a reliable person who we respect, and is just the right kind of person. That's success to me. Everything else will come as a byproduct of just being the right kind of person.
Is there any quotes or any phrases that kept you going throughout time?
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to think of some off the top of my head. One that I still like, I have as my alarm clock is WAAC, win at all costs. Like kind of like find a way, like always find a way. Like that's going to be the difference between good and great. So, those ones. Another one is the grass is green where you water it. So if you can just be where your feet are, make the most of your situation. Um, and then the other one is memories don't make themselves. So that's another one I live by of like, you have to live through experiences to have those memories and to have those opportunities. And so they're not going to make themselves. So if you look back on your life and wish you would have done this or went on that trip or whatever, like you have to go make those. No one's going to make those for you.
I love that. I mean, go chase your dreams because your dreams will not chase you. And that's what Everyday is Friday Mindset's all about. And I want to transition to the Friday Mindset part of the show where we dig into your journey and your mindset and moments that shaped you. Jake, what has been the best piece of advice you've ever received?
I'd probably say and I touched on that. My dad gave me the best piece of advice because, my dad had, he's got a great story. That's for another day. But I asked him like, hey, what's the key to success? Like, I think I just kind of had one of those days where I'm like going through school and making it through college and just kind of like, what is this all worth it? Like why are we doing this? And I remember him saying those three things to me. His three things were have a good attitude, work hard, and give back. So if you can be positive, have a positive mindset. If you work hard and don't shortchange corners, and then it's your obligation to give back. If you are successful and you have an opportunity, whether it's time, talents, or treasures, like give back, whether to the youth, financially, to wherever, just give back. It's those things. So that was the best piece of advice I've ever gotten when it comes to those kind of things. And then professionally, I'd say the best piece of advice is no one's coming to save you, right? So like it's on you. No one's going to help you like do things, or no one's going to help you write your resume, or no one's going to help you network. You have to really take your own ownership of your career. And so between those two things, those have been pretty impactful in my life.
No, that's really impactful how, a father can set a solid foundation for your future and mine too. I mean, that's really impactful. I thank you for sharing that. And because we don't hear it enough. A lot of people don't.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm fortunate. I have good people that have been with me since I was a kid. And so having good people around me, you're just a byproduct of that. So it's been good. I'm very grateful to be where I'm at today because of the people that have been in my life.
And Jake, the show is called Every Day is Friday, and Friday has a special energy, whether it's freedom, excitement, or just feeling of accomplishment after a long week. Jake, I want to hear from you. What does Friday mean to you?
Friday means to me capping off a good week, like making it through another week and like accomplishing all your goals. And because on Sunday night, you kind of sit there like, I got to do this week, looking at your schedule. And so you get to Friday and you look back on the week and you're like, man, I just did this many meetings and maybe closed these opportunities, or I did this, or got to spend time with these people. So Friday is like a celebratory way of like, we made it through the week, we accomplished all these things. And you're right, man. It's just you get a little pep in your step. You put some tunes on. It's warm weather. You get outside. Like Friday's all about the vibes, good vibes all around.
It's a mindset of anything is possible, and I love your definition. And this is your chance to leave the listeners with something powerful. Is there anything else you want to share?
I'd say the one thing I would say that I'd leave people with is just be a good person. Just be positive. Like treat people right. Like it's kind of like the things you learn in kindergarten. So my nephew's 3 and he says please, he says thank you. Like, it's like small things, but we as adults, when we grow up, we forget about some of those like core values as people. Saying thank you, opening the door, asking people how their day went, shaking their hand, like letting people know you're thinking about them. just be the right kind of person. Like, be positive, be the right kind of person, and it'll open more doors for you than anything else in the world.
It's a very powerful takeaway. I appreciate you sharing. And all your information will be in the description down below. But I want to make sure that people know where to find you and support your work. And where can they follow and support?
Yep. So LinkedIn, Jake Daugherty. Find me on there. Twitter, X, I should say, is _J Daugherty. My website's j-daugherty.com. Yeah. And feel free to reach out. Happy to connect with anybody. If anyone listening to this and was like, hey, like, this guy's got some good energy, we'd love to just connect, network, happy to do it. So to do that. But I appreciate you having me on. This has been a great conversation.
No, I know the listeners got a lot of value on this, and I appreciate you being here. It was a great conversation, and thank you for sharing your stories and experiences. It was a blast.
Yes, sir. Yeah, happy to do so. This is awesome.
And to everyone listening, stay tuned for more amazing stories on Every Day is Friday Podcast 365. If you enjoyed this, make sure you follow and share and keep Every Day is Friday mindset going. Till next time, stay inspired and make every day feel like Friday. I'll see you until next time.